Hello, folks. Welcome to Kudlow. I'm Larry Kudlow. Well, I may not agree with everything the UAW is asking in their current strike, but I do think they have a lot of important points on their side. Two key points, by the way, are Bidenflation and Biden's completely unbalanced, insane climate policies. Now, on Bidenflation, remember, when former President Obama negotiated the auto bailout back in 2009, the UAW agreed to forego cost of living adjustments in their contract. Hat tip to Breitbart's John Carney for reminding me of that. So, they haven't had a COLA increase in over 20 years. Now, that was okay until recently when Joe Biden came into the White House and launched his left-wing spending frenzy, which the Federal Reserve played along with, at least until recently. The Consumer Price Index has increased almost 17% since Joe Biden took office. Necessities like food and gasoline have spiked 20% and over 50%, respectively. So their real wages have plunged, and they're not happy about it. And you can't blame them. Now, not surprisingly, one of the key union demands is, in fact, the return of cost of living adjustments. Now, the big three car makers are so far holding out on this point, along with demands for outsized union wage and benefits. And the UAW has gone on strike. They've gone on strike in factories in Missouri and Toledo and Wayne, Michigan. Then there's the issue of Biden's lavish subsidies for electric vehicles, as embodied in the misnamed Inflation Reduction Act. Nobody knows how much those subsidies are going to be worth over time. It's going to be at least $500 billion, probably a lot more, since there are no money or timetable caps. So, auto workers are asking the guy who says he's the most pro-union president in history, where are our subsidies? Now, don't take it from me. Take it from pro-union Joe himself.
I intend to be the most pro-union president, leading the most pro-union administration in American history.
I meant what I said when I said I'm going to be the most pro-union president in American history, and I make no apologies for it. And I'm proud to be the most pro-union president.
Well, you couldn't convince the union, I think, of all that. Anyway, the key point here is that Joe Biden's EVs could spell the end of the UAW, and union leaders know it. Studies have shown, by the way, that electric vehicles require only about 40% of the hours worked compared to gas-powered cars. In fact, the entire auto industry, including the knock-on effects for dealers and repair shops and gas stations and diners and who knows what else, all that could obliterate 500,000 jobs, maybe even more. Plus, of course, the UAW faces stiff competition from right-to-work states in the South and elsewhere, where a lot of the EV car and battery subsidies are being invested. So, between the combination of Joe Bidenflation and his crazy climate policies, all this sets up a huge doom loop for the car business as it exists today. And remember, Bidenomics is jamming these climate policies down our throats, taking away consumer choice. And people don't want to be told they can't drive gas-powered cars. Does any of this save the UAW? Well, I don't know. But I don't think they've bargained on Biden's price hikes and EVs and Chinese batteries. And so maybe folks should think twice before they bash the UAW's positions. Now, here's a final thought on all this. If you have a chance, take a read of Donald Trump's Agenda 47 white paper. It's called Rescuing America's Auto Industry from Joe Biden's Disastrous Job-Killing Policies. All right. The former president pledges to end the assault on the internal combustion engine and to cancel harmful emissions regulations for trucks and cars. Moreover, the president would also end Biden's insane CAFE fuel economy standards. And Mr. Trump would end or revisit at least some of the USMCA cheating on regional auto parts content. Of course, the former president would reopen the spigots for liquid gold and drill baby drill, and he intends to seek new reciprocal fair trade legislation. Now, As far as I know, no other candidate in either party has a policy prescription to deal with any of these auto-related problems. So far, the UAW leadership has held back a Biden presidential endorsement. But I suspect in the end, the leaders will throw in with the Democratic Party. On the other hand, I'm taking the over for rank-and-file auto workers voting for Trump. You can bet on it. And that is my riff.